Today, I want to talk to you about a book that I've previously gone over, but I think the point needs to be re-emphasized because I think a lot of the problems we see in the world today comes from the failing education system. And why is the education system failing? And it really goes back to the origins of the education system. The American education system was based off the Prussian system, which, if you don't know anything about Prussia, was basically a warring empire. It was basically a society where their main focus was creating weapons, creating soldiers, and being as strong and mighty as possible. And when you look at this, it makes a whole lot of sense why the system is the way it is. Because the system is very rigid. The system is very standardized. The system doesn't teach any sort of creativity. If anything, it kills creativity. And this is why I think the American education system is falling so behind in terms of globally, in terms of reputation, in terms of the amount of funding versus the amount of actual students that are capable of learning. And when you read this book, you find out haunting statistics that we're almost at a literacy epidemic. Like, this country is producing less and less people that can actually read, less and less people that can actually, attribute anything that they read and make sense of it and understand it and comprehend it and then apply it to something. And then you wonder why the country is in the state it is in. And we will always hear that education is the greatest thing you can have. But what if the quality of education is so poor? And what if the quality of education isn't actually education? What if it's more inculcation? And that's what we see today. We see college students, we see high schoolers, we see young people that are more wrapped up in ideologies than there ever have been. There's no such thing as freedom of thought anymore. There's no such thing as freedom of expression because we have these school systems that push people down a set path. We have these social media algorithms that push people into set beliefs, and there's no actual question of why. There's no understanding of what Socrates was about. There's no understanding about the death of Socrates and what this means to the actual mind and what this means to freedom as a whole. And it's so ironic because we have professors, we have teachers that will tell you we have a Socratic method here. They can't tell you the first thing about Socrates. They don't even know why Socrates died. Socrates died because he was willing to ask questions, because he was inspiring the youth of Athens to, for the first time in the history of Athens, question things. For the first time in the history of Athens, to question authority. And God forbid anyone question authority. God forbid anyone have an opinion that is counter to what society is. And if we take it from a whole, this is what education should be. Education should be challenging the norms. It should be challenging everything that we know about the world and confirming if it's right or wrong. But we live in a world where everything is so wrapped up in ideology that we can't get beyond our own ego. We can't get beyond our own beliefs. And it's so frustrating. And it's the hardest aspect about this is not only do the students have to overcome their own ego, but the teachers. And we live in a world where teachers are so incapable of seeing beyond themselves, are so incapable of seeing other people's perspectives. And I think this is another large issue. And I think if we really want to tackle these things as a whole, I think we have to stop putting so much faith in institutions. I think we have to learn to self-educate ourselves. I think we need to make it so that the degrees are worth less and less. We find outlets, we find ways to make it so that these institutions have to compete. These institutions have to understand that they can't blindly get a check, that they have to improve their actual facilities. They have to improve the things that they're teaching. They have to inspire learning, not force it. Not say you need to learn this. Not say if you don't believe this, if you don't adhere exactly to this, then you're going to get a failing grade on this exam. And once we start changing this, then we can start changing society. Because it's not you and me that are going to change the world. It's the next generation and the generation after that. And we need to be the inspiration for all of these things. It all starts with a Gandhi quote: be the change you want to see in the world. Start understanding these ideas. Start educating yourself. Start understanding that what you learn is not always correct. And unless you confirm it after years and years and years of studying, unless you see every single perspective, then you can never get the full answer and the full solution. I really urge you to pick up this book because it's very interesting. It talks about a lot of flaws with the education system. It talks about the rigidity. It talks about a lot of the things that most people know, but they don't really know how to put into words. And I think that's what this book is so good at doing. It breaks you out of the paradigm that education is the end all be all and we do it perfectly and there's nothing that can be done. And I really think that like books like this are things that the institution should read. The institutions should understand what is the problem with their own institutions, but they're so high and mighty, they're so up their own ass with their ego that they'll never understand why they are failing. They'll never understand why it's not working. They'll never understand why their degrees get less and less valuable every single year. And it's just, you know what I mean? All we can do is attempt to spread the message. All we can do is attempt to inspire different forms of thought and different forms of thinking, because if we could inspire people to actually think, then we could inspire a change in the world, because, you know, nothing will change by doing the exact same thing, and, you know, might as well give it a shot. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. Peace out. I'll catch you next one.